that day we covered about JavaScript functions. Is functions clear? Okay. So can you tell me, are you practicing this even before, or this is all new to you? What? I'm asking that is this all new to you, or you have been practicing this before also? JavaScript, HTML, CSS. Okay. So see, there is, okay, you can mute yourself. So see, what happens is this part clear, that how we can link external JS file in HTML? Okay, okay. So simply we put the relative absolute path and done. So today we will see the modern way of declaring functions. Okay, open with live server. Okay, so the modern way of declaring functions is something like this. One second, one second. So earlier what we used to do is write function, then the function name, like let's say sum, then we would add parameters inside bracket, and then we will write the actual logic. Okay, let's say like this. Is the parameter part clear? What exactly is parameter? Okay, so parameter is something like an input which the function needs to execute the internal code. So this was the way of declaring function. Now the modern way of declaring function using ES6 means JavaScript's latest version is using arrow function. Using arrow function. Const function name sum, let's give it some other name, equals to function name equals to, and then the bracket. Okay, inside this we pass the parameters, and then as the name suggests, arrow. Okay, and after the arrow the same thing. Okay, only the syntax is different, rest everything works the same. Okay, like here we need to first write function, then the function name, then directly inside the bracket we can pass parameter. But here what we need to do is first declare function using a variable. Okay, and then inside the parameter we can pass the parameters, inside the bracket we can pass the parameters. Okay, now let's call both the functions, even the working is also same, sum 15. Okay, and then let's call the arrow function, will also give us the same sum 15. Okay, nothing much difference, only syntax is different. Okay, so real life function examples, let's see where exactly we need to use these functions. Real life function examples, let's say let's actually create an object. Let bank account let bank account equals to an object, where what we're gonna show, bank balance, or the balance simply, which will be 1000. Then as I told you all that we can inside the object we can declare properties and methods. Okay, so methods are what? As I told you, methods were functions. Okay, simple functions which we learned now. Okay, so simply what we can do is create method or function inside the object. Okay, like deposit function. Okay, let's use the old syntax here. Okay, withdraw function. Okay, and then check balance function. Okay, so yes, we created a simple object with variable name bank account. Okay, for the very first property we passed balance. Okay, after that we declared three methods. Okay, so what were the methods? Methods were deposit, okay, withdraw, and check balance. Now inside the method or function what we used, as we can see here, inside some method or functions we used if else also. Okay, so it's a combination of method and if else. Okay, conditional operators or conditional functions. Okay, so as we can see, some conditions are being applied here. Okay, also in check balance we are simply printing the current balance. Okay, let's say we want to check the actual balance. So what we'll do, we'll print console.log bank account dot balance. As you can see, we are getting here the balance. Okay, 1000. Now if I want that I need to deposit 500. Everyone knows what is depositing? Yes, no, maybe. Okay, so adding up the balance in the existing balance. Okay, so basically what I want to do is think we are creating some sort of banking system. Okay, banking web page, and actually if we see, there are means lot of places where we can actually click and it will do the same thing. Okay, like depositing balance. Okay, it will be having some fancy names here and there, but ultimately in the backend it will do the same thing. Okay, like depositing. Okay, so what exactly do we need to do in depositing? Right, we actually need to simply take how much balance we want to deposit and simply add up to the existing balance, right? So here we are doing the same thing. Okay, so inside the deposit method what we are calling a function. Okay, where we are passing parameter as amount. Okay, and whatever amount is being deposited, that will be added up to the balance. Okay, this dot balance means whatever current balance is. Okay, that will be added up to the amount. Okay, and both will be summed up, and then we will get a printout of our new balance. Okay, so let's try it. Let's call it how do we actually call something inside the object? We basically call it using bank account dot deposit, and definitely we need a parameter here, amount. Okay, so we will pass the parameter amount, and let's say let's deposit 300. Okay, so see, deposited 300, new balance 1300. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, next what we want to withdraw 200. Okay, so we withdrew 200 and our current balance is 1100. Okay, so as you all see here, the JavaScript is also holding our updated values. Okay, because currently the balance is initially the balance is 1000. Okay, but after we deposited something, JavaScript is holding that value, the new balance. Okay, and after we withdraw, javascript is helping us to withdraw the balance from the updated one, okay, not from the initial one. Okay, so this is the power of javascript. Okay, next what we want to check the current balance. So current balance is 1100. As you can see, this is also dynamic. Okay, means it's not showing our current balance is 1000. Okay, whatever deposit or withdrawal happened, on the basis of that we are checking our balance. Okay, so is this part clear to everyone? Okay, okay, so now let's everyone clear now, because we need this in future. Which part? Okay, so what's happening here basically is I taught today from starting that this was the legacy version of declaring functions. Okay, but after ES6 arrived, means JavaScript's new version arrived, ES6, then we got an arrow function, means it was a new way of declaring functions. Okay, writing functions. Okay, earlier what we used to do, the syntax was to write function, simple function. Okay, and after that give a space and write the function name, like here we can see function sum. Okay, after that we simply give a bracket, and inside it we pass the parameters. Okay, now what are parameters? Parameters you can think of as input. Okay, which needs to be passed in the function so that the function can operate, process and give you the appropriate output. Okay, now this input you can directly write statically in the function itself. Okay, like if I want, I can simply here itself declare that yeah, const a is equal to 10. Okay, const b is equal to 7. Okay, but assume if I'm making a calculator. Okay, and if I statically write or pass a and b's value, will user be able to calculate it, their desired values? No, definitely not, because the operation will happen on the static value. Okay, means it will be very limited. Okay, so basically we pass the input from outside. Okay, wherever we call the function, wherever we use the function, basically call means using the function, there we pass the function name, and inside the bracket we pass the parameters. Okay, or the inputs. Okay, so these are the parameters. Okay, or inputs. Okay, this is the processing part or operation part inside the curly braces. Okay, and here itself we can either return something or whatever we can do. Okay, basically if we return something, that means we are giving output of the function. Okay, means passing the output to the place wherever the function was called. Okay, returning means simply that. So as we can see here, we are not returning anything here, we are simply printing directly the result. Okay, here we are operating the result, that is a plus b, and then we will what we want the function to do, that it should print the sum. Okay, so it will directly print the sum. So as we can see here, we called this sum function here and we passed 5 and 10. Okay, so what will the function do? Sum function will take the parameter 5 and 10 here, then it will calculate the result. 5 plus 10 is equal to 15. Then it will store it in the result. Okay, shortly, for a short time, temporarily, and then it will simply print the result. Okay, as we can see here in line number 4. Okay, it simply whenever we call this function, here in the line 14 we are calling the function, passing the input. Okay, and then this function is being called, and in line number 4 the sum is being printed. Okay, so this was the traditional way of declaring functions. Now nothing has changed in new way of declaring the function, only the syntax. Okay, so what is happening here, simply we are calling the function inside a variable name. Okay, see, how do we declare basically a variable like this only? Okay, either by const or let. Okay, so simply we are using the const sum arrow is equal to, and after that, instead of uh, passing the data as string or any other primitive data type, we are, or non-primitive data type, we are passing the function. Okay, as I told you all that this function is also a data type. Okay, that is non-primitive data type. Can anyone tell me what kind of non-primitive data types exist other than functions? Objects and arrays, correct. So as they are the data types, this function is also a data type. Okay, so this is how we can declare the function using arrow declaration. Okay, this is arrow function. Okay, this is what is called arrow function. What we are doing here is, first we are passing the variable name using constant let, then after that we are directly passing the function. Okay, using this bracket and an arrow, as the name suggests, arrow function. Okay, and then we are doing the same things here, like this curly braces here, inside this the same operation will happen. Okay, the thing is only there is an arrow. Okay, and the function is actually stored inside a variable. Okay, so this is the simple difference. Okay, and rest everything will be the same. Okay, parameters will be passed inside the bracket. Okay, so nothing different. Okay, no change or differentiation in outputs. Okay, as you can see here, we call the traditional function, passing the parameters as 5 and 10. It also gave us the same thing, and next we called the uh, basically the new arrow function. Okay, and we passed the same parameters or inputs, so it gave us the same result. Okay, so no new things. Okay, now see, let's discuss about real life function example, where are we gonna exactly use these functions. Okay, assume we are creating some web page for a bank. Okay, simple bank. Okay, don't think too much in that. Okay, simple things we are going to do. Okay, so what we are going to basically show on the web page, or add some functions. There will be a balance. Okay, user will be able to see their balance. Okay, simple balance, whatever current balance is. Okay, so user will be able to see that. So that is the balance. We statically typed 1000. Okay, as balance, current balance, initial balance. Okay, after that we have a deposit method or function. Okay, inside that, what we are doing is, whenever someone calls deposit, so think of it, what happens when someone tries to deposit the money in the bank. uh, Whatever the amount is, that is simply taken note of. Okay, and it's added up to the current balance. Okay, or the initial balance. Okay, for example, here we had 1000 rupees. If I go to bank and add 300 rupees, what will happen? It will be summed up 1000 plus 300, and it will become 1300. Okay, so a receipt will be given to me, and I will see that my updated balance or new balance is 1300. Okay, so same thing happens here. Okay, this is an object. Okay, and how do we call any property or method inside object? Simply by taking the bank account or the object name. Okay, like this, and whatever thing we want to access, we use a dot. Okay, and we access it. So we have a deposit method here. Okay, and it takes parameter also. What is the parameter? The amount. Okay, whatever amount is being deposited, it will take as parameter. So think we have 4 buttons. Okay, with some fancy names and different ones. Okay, but ultimately they will do the same thing. Okay, deposit the money. Okay, so what will happen is, basically when I click or tap on that either of that 4 button, okay, deposit will only happen. Okay, so ultimately I want to do the same thing. Okay, simply want to deposit the amount and show the current balance or the new balance. Okay, so what I will simply do, I will call that method, okay, using bank account dot deposit, and inside that I will simply pass the parameter as amount, okay, the deposited amount. Okay, so what will happen here, whenever we pass the deposited amount or the new amount which is being deposited, it will add up to the current balance, means this dot balance. Okay, and uh, deposit, it will show the deposited amount, and after that it will also show the new balance. Okay, so if you note here JavaScript, let's see the output first. See, we called here in line number 43 bank account dot deposit, and we deposited 300. Okay, so when we deposited 300, the deposit method was called, and the sum was added, okay, or the deposit amount was added to the current balance. Okay, and it showed us that whatever amount was deposited and the new balance also. Okay, so if you see here, if you observe something, JavaScript is storing the updated value, okay, temporarily. Okay, and it acts as a temporary storage also. Okay, like see what is happening here. Next we are calling the withdraw function. Okay, and here we are checking one thing, that if amount is greater than this dot balance, then we will print or show the user insufficient funds. Okay, like see, currently my account is 1300. Okay, and if I want to withdraw 2000, that won't be possible, right? The ATM will simply show like insufficient funds. Okay, so we are doing the same thing. Okay, inside this we are checking that if amount is greater than balance, then we'll show this user as insufficient funds. Okay, else we will simply deduct the amount, okay, from the current value of the balance, and we will print that this amount was withdrawn, and new updated balance is this. Okay, so what we did here is, from my existing 1300 balance I withdrew 200. Okay, and it showed us that withdrawn 200 and new balance is 1100. So as we see here also, JavaScript is temporarily storing our value. Okay, and it's not operating on the initial balance, it's operating on the updated or operated balance. Okay, so this is the power of JavaScript. Now if we call the check balance function also, inside the check balance, what will happen, it will show us the updated balance. Okay, like whatever balance is left after deposit or withdrawal, it will show us that balance, not the static balance. Okay, that is 1000. So this is also the power of JavaScript. Okay, now everything clear, or shall I explain it one more time? Okay, great. Let's move further. We will further study about objects and arrays in detailed view. Okay, like real life examples. For example, working with complex data basically. Okay, because the things we studied, they were just basic level things, and they will be rarely used in a basic way. Okay, basically we use uh, complex datas, okay, whenever we use arrays or objects. So it's important to know that what is basically a complex data. Assume we have a student management system. Okay, and let classroom equals an object. Okay, so this is currently an object. Okay, and the classroom's name is math 101. Okay, and let's say we have some sort of students. Okay, so where are we actually going to store the students? Inside an array. Okay, because it's not possible to store each and every student using their separate key, using their separate key, like student 1, then another student 2, then their name, age, grade. so that will be a foolish way to store the data. Okay, so the thing we see here is we can directly pass the single objects, okay, inside the array. Okay, in that way we will get an ease to access all the values inside the students. Okay, and we'll get a proper view of our students. Okay, so this is the thing. Okay, now as we see here, what we did is we created array inside object. Okay, you see here the classroom is a object. Okay, inside that we created an array. Okay, and in fact inside that array we created another object. Okay, and yes, of course, this is kind of recursion. Okay, inside the object also we can again create an array. Like if I want to show the grades of different subjects like maths, science, English, okay, we can definitely do that. You need to basically understand the structure. Okay, 98, 92, 88. Okay, so see what happening here is we initially created an object. Okay, inside that we created an array of students. Okay, inside that array of students we are collecting multiple students data inside an object again. Okay, for each student we are using an object. Okay, because each student has multiple data, and that too individual ones. Okay, individual data. Okay, because see, if I directly declare only the name, not every name has the same age. Okay, like Alice is 20, Bob is 22. Okay, I need to keep record of that too. Okay, and also not every student will have same grades. Okay, so we need to segregate that. Okay, so we are simply using individual objects for each student. Okay, and inside the object what we are doing, we also need to keep track of grades. Okay, so yeah, we can use an array. Okay, to keep track of grades too. Okay, so after that, as I told you, inside an object, in the previous function also we saw, in the previous object of bank, the previous example of bank, we saw that we can definitely pass a method. Okay, because objects is all about properties and methods, so let's pass methods too. Okay, like adding a student. Okay, so inside the add student method what we are doing is basically we are passing students detail as parameters. Okay, and then we are simply printing that student's name. Okay, so let's basically try to add a student. So can anyone, okay, suggestion is always in hurry, so what to do. Okay, so in order to add a student, assume you are creating some student management system. Okay, and you need to add a button for adding students. Okay, so what will you do on clicking that button? What will happen is students will be added. Okay, in the back end what will happen is basically this object will be called, okay, classroom, and then we will extract or call the add student method. Okay, inside that method we will pass an object of new student. Okay, now inside that object we will pass the exact same data. Okay, like the name, age, and grades of the student. Okay, and yeah, we are good to go, and the student will be added. Okay, so if we want to see each student, okay, so we can simply console.log now the classroom dot students. So we are getting here currently the object. Okay, now we need to actually map through the data. Okay, and we are getting here all the details. Okay, so this is all about complex data structure. Okay, we will have more complex data, okay, and further tutorials. Okay, so we'll see that. Okay, now let's see about arrays. Okay, so inside arrays, let's create array. Methods are basically powerful tools. Okay, array methods are powerful tools. Let's see, let's take an example of e-commerce product filter. Okay, e-commerce product filter. Okay, where we will create an product filter for e-commerce. Okay, like we have an Amazon button. Okay, here we have a product filter, like these are the filters. Okay, or let's say these are the filters. Okay, these are product filters. Like if I tap on this, there is a sub filter also. Okay, these are filters or categories, these are subcategories. Okay, if I tap on some subcategory, what I will get product on the basis of that subcategory. Okay, one second please. Yeah, so I will get basically product based on this category. Okay, or subcategory. Okay, or information on the basis of the subcategory. Okay, now if I go to mobiles or computers categories, okay, and then if I go to tablets, I'll get the products according to that subcategory. Okay, only the tablets. Okay, this is product filter. Now how to create this in a very, we'll look this in a very basic way. Okay, a very small scale. Ultimately it happens in a more optimized way, but we'll see just how to do it in a small scale. Okay, like we see, we have some laptop. Okay, some phone, some shirt, and some shoes. Okay, and let's say, let's actually name the product something. Okay, like we have iPhone 16. Okay, and we have some sort of Nike shoes. Okay, and then we have a coffee mug. Then we have Samsung television. Okay, and of course we need to change the category. One second. Category will be electronics. Okay, it will be, let's say, home. Okay, and next category, this Nike shoes, will be, let's say, clothing. Okay, and this will also be definitely electronics. So assume we have a database. Okay, and we have multiple products inside that, like Amazon, Flipkart. Okay, listed, and basically what we want to do, we want to filter out expensive electronics. Okay, if we want to filter out expensive electronics, we basically need to first change the pricings. Let's say it is 80,000. Nike shoes, let's say 10,000. Okay, and the coffee mug, basically let's have 2,000. okay. And Samsung TV definitely off. 120 12,000, 1,20,000. Okay, so basically what we want to do, we want to first of all create a product filter. Everyone following up with me? Everyone clear till here, or any doubt? Okay. So everyone clear what we are exactly making? Okay, so first filter we want to add is like Amazon. Okay, like we can segregate the products or differentiate the products on the basis of their pricings. Okay, so filter expensive electronics. Okay, expensive electronics. Okay, and we will store them in a variable. Okay, whatever expensive electronics are there, we will basically filter using filter function of array. Okay, filter method of array, we will filter the expensive electronics. So how will we exactly do that? We'll simply first write the array's name. Okay, then we'll use a dot, then we'll use the filter method. Inside that, look very carefully, what do we need to pass? We need to pass a new variable. Okay, which will currently store the filter products, okay, individually. So what will filter out here? Basically the product dot category, which are electronics. Okay, we will basically filter the electronic items. Okay, let's see what we have here. Electronics. Okay, we are simply saying here whatever product dot category if is equal to electronics, then store it inside it. Okay, inside the product. Okay, so after that we want one more filter. If we find whatever products are of electronics category, then we will filter it more. 1 second, let's keep it in next line. Dot filter, remember it's combined only. Okay, it's we are not declaring something new, it's combined here. Basically we have some space issues, so I declared it in the next line. So next what we want to actually apply the expensive electronic filter. So next we have the electronic products stored inside the product. Okay, next what we want to do, we want to filter that product more and find whatever expensive electronics are there. So in order to do that, we will simply pass the product, and inside the product we will say that whatever product dot price is greater than 50,000, we will simply filter that out. Okay, so now if we log the expensive electronic items, okay, we will see expensive electronics are iPhone 16 and Samsung TV. Okay, and what's happening here, we are mapping out. Okay, because there are two products. Okay, assume you have 1,000 of products. Okay, and if we directly log them, okay, so it will be a kind of mess. Okay, like it will show us simply the object. Okay, like if we see here expensive electronics, see what it will show. It will show us simply that these are objects. Okay, what we want here is their exact names. Okay, are the details. Okay, so in order to see that, we will map into that array. Okay, and we will extract the name. Okay, extract the name of each and every expensive electronic item, and we will simply log that. Okay, as we are doing here. Okay, now dot join, what is this? This is basically to join a comma after each product, okay, because if we are mapping here there would be obviously a lot of products, okay, more than one product. So if there is one more than one product, it will simply join an comma into that, okay, as we see here. If we remove this comma, it won't do that, okay, there won't be a comma. Remove this, see, no comma after that, okay, or basically no spacing, okay. So this was basically for spacing, okay. So next filter we will create is get just the name, okay, like a shopping list, okay. What is inside our shopping list? Basically we see all the product names, okay. So how will actually we do that? Let products name, store it inside product names, okay, and then we will simply map through the products array, okay. Remember, this is our products array. Inside that product we'll map, we'll find all the product names, okay, product dot name, okay. Now if we simply log the product names, we'll get all the products in our array, okay. Next we have total value of all products, okay. If we want to combine the, if some e-commerce store owner wants to see actually that what is the total value of their inventory, monetary value or the money value of that inventory, they basically want that what are products are left in their inventory, okay, or storehouse, they basically need to add up the price of their products, okay. So how will we do that? We will simply first name it find total value of all products, okay. Let total value equals value equals products dot reduce. So see, what does this reduce function? This is an array method, okay. The map was also an array method or function. The reduce is also array method or function, okay. So what does this reduce do? Is basically calls the specified callback function for all elements in the array, okay. Return value is the accumulated result and is provided as an argument in the next call to the callback function, okay. So let's see what happens. Is this reduce basically acts like a callback function for all the elements in array, okay, and basically returns value of the callback function in the accumulated result. So through the reduce we can basically operate on each and every element contained inside that array, that is this element also, first, second, third, fourth, okay, all the elements, okay. So what we want is basically we need to take all the values of the take all the price values of each item, okay, like this sum product and basically we want that whatever this basically acts like a loop, okay, and whatever sum we have existing we'll add the product dot price to it, okay, till we map each and every product, okay. So by this method we will get all the values or the total values of our inventory, okay. Everything clear till here? Everything clear till here, everyone? Okay. Okay, great. So now this the thing which I am going to cover the next is very expensive thing. Okay, on the basis of which you all will actually create web pages. Okay, interactive web pages. Okay, so please focus on this more. Okay, so it's basically DOM manipulation. Okay, like how exactly we can make the web page interactive. Okay, so DOM manipulation. Now what is DOM? DOM is basically manipulation. DOM is basically a compiler. You can understand it as a compiler. Okay, document object module. Okay, so what is a document object module? Basically what we see in our browser is a DOM. Okay, basically what it means is in whatever language we write the code, it shows us in a document format in HTML, CSS and JavaScript only. Okay, so this is what DOM is. Okay, means whatever language we write on the code, like the PHP or Next.js, React.js. Okay, there are a lot of frameworks. Okay, what will happen ultimately is that particular framework code, okay, when it is rendered in the browser, it will basically convert to HTML, CSS and JavaScript irrespective of whatever language it was created in. Okay, so how is it actually done? It is basically done by DOM. Okay, DOM shows us the HTML, CSS and JavaScript, means it combines this HTML, CSS and JavaScript, shows us the actual web page. Okay, so this is what DOM is. Okay, whatever we see here, this is DOM. Okay, now we need to manipulate DOM. Everyone knows what is manipulation or hypnotism, basically to control someone or something, right? So basically what I want is let's say in the body tag we have a button. Okay, and we have a click button. Okay, see, we have a click button. Okay, correct. Now what I want is basically when I click on this, okay, when I click on this, something should happen. Okay, so how are we actually going to do that? How we actually writing the script such that something works, something happens here. Okay, that is basically possible using JavaScript. Okay, so basically what I want is to manipulate this button. Okay, now how do I manipulate this button? Using JavaScript. Okay, now I need to tell JavaScript. Okay, currently this line, what is it doing? This line is currently saying HTML that yeah, this is your JavaScript. Okay, this is the JavaScript file which you need to load. Okay, but we are not, on the other side we are not telling JavaScript that yeah, this is the button. Okay, means there is not a cross connection, okay, between both the files. Okay, there is only one connection which is saying HTML that yes, this is your JavaScript file, load it also. Okay, but we need to tell JavaScript that we want interactivity in this button. Okay, so in order to tell JavaScript that we want interactivity, we need to link it. Okay, link the button. Basically, how do we link that button? Basically we studied about class names and IDs. Okay, so we basically use ID. Okay, this is our ID. Okay, focus very carefully in this. Okay, this is very crucial part. Okay, so let's say I want to manipulate this button. Okay, whenever I click on it, okay, an alert should appear. Okay, so what I will tell JavaScript, first I will select an element by ID. Everyone knows what is an element in HTML. Till now you should be familiar with what is element. Okay, so the button is an element. Okay, so we need to basically target that element, okay, by id. Okay, now there are a lot of methods, even you can target it by classes also, but let's focus on id part. Okay, so we target that using document dom. Okay, dom. So dom, you can understand it as a remote control of the website. Okay, so if we have the remote, basically we have the access to that button also. Okay, the click button. So we need to basically target that button using document dot get element by id. Okay, and inside this function we need to pass this. See, this is also a function. Okay, you can understand document as a object. Okay, let's actually console.log the document. Okay, what we get inside the document. Okay, let's see what is inside the document. Uncaught error, failed to execute get element by id. Wait a second, let's comment this out. So this is our document. Okay, currently the document has the access to web page. Okay, the index.html. Okay, and this is the index.html. What is contained inside the document? See, inside the document we have our simple html. Okay, everything clear till here? What is inside the document? Shall I re-explain? Okay, let me explain you again. See, what is inside the document. This document is you can understand it as a JavaScript function. Okay, through which we can access our HTML page. Okay, so if we have the access to our HTML code, okay, basically we can interact with any element here. Okay, like the button. Okay, so how do we particularly tell JavaScript that we need interactivity in this particular element only? Okay, that is by getting that element by id. Okay, so inside the document we have an element. Okay, which has the id this. Okay, the id as button. Okay, so we want this particular element inside the document. Okay, so we are basically getting that element which has this id. Okay, inside the document. So if we see here inside we have this document. Okay, inside the document we have a button called id button. Okay, so you are targeting this button only using its id. Okay, now we targeted it. Okay, but next what we want to add event listener. Okay, event listener. What is an event listener? Basically, what is an event is some sort of action performed. Okay, what types of actions can be performed here? Either we can hover on it. Okay, like this. Either we can click it. Okay, or we can long press it. Okay, either we can drag it here and there. So these are some kind of events. Okay, but what we want, when we click on this particular button, okay, then a alert should appear here. Okay, so we have another function. Okay, add event listener. Inside that we can pass the particular event which we want to target. Like we want to target the click event. Okay, and then this function has basically two parameters. Okay, the event and the function. Okay, means this function takes, the add event listener function takes two parameters. Okay, like what exactly would be the event. Okay, and what would be the function to run. Okay, so what we want here is basically whenever we click on this, okay, something should happen. Okay, so what something should happen? Let's use the arrow function here. What something should happen? We should alert button clicked. Okay, we should alert what? We should alert button clicked. So whenever we now click on this, there will be a pop-up or alert showing button clicked. Okay, so this is how we can manipulate our DOM, okay, or our web page basically. Okay, so everything clear till here? How exactly are we targeting the element by ID, and we are passing the function to do something? How are we actually adding interactivity? Clear to everyone? Okay, 1 second please. So here what is happening is we are basically manipulating the DOM. Okay, through JavaScript what we have access to this whole, allow me a moment. Yeah, so through the JavaScript, through this JavaScript, or through the DOM, we have access to this whole document or this web page. Okay, whatever is the skeleton simply. Okay, skeleton or CSS also. Okay, so what is skeleton? Skeleton is basically HTML. So simply we can understand that in JavaScript file we have access to the whole HTML. Okay, now where exactly is that HTML or skeleton stored? That skeleton is stored by default inside the document. Okay, inside the document we have the whole HTML. Okay, now the thing is that when will we have access to that particular pages element? We will have access to that particular pages element when we link here the script tag. Okay, when we link here the script tag, the script or the JavaScript will have access to this whole code. Okay, the whole HTML. Now inside this HTML we have created a button with ID as btn. Okay, what I want is interactivity. Okay, what is interactivity? Interactivity basically means whenever I click on this, I want something to be done. Okay, like I want this alert to be popped up. So I will when I have already access to the whole HTML, I will simply target the button. Okay, I'll simply target the button by ID. Okay, by its ID. I will say JavaScript that whatever uh, element has this particular ID inside the document, I'll target that. Okay, and I will add a dot add event listener function. Okay, to that particular button. Okay, or that element, that particular element which has this ID button. Now what is event listener? This add event listener is a function, JavaScript function. Okay, which basically takes two parameters. Okay, first parameter is when should that event be triggered. Okay, what is event? Basically event is some sort of action performed. Okay, like in this button what actions can be performed? Either the button can be dragged here and there. Okay, by holding and just dragging it. Either the button can be long pressed. Okay, or the button can be single clicked. Okay, or the button can be double clicked also. Okay, or let's say this much only, or the button can be we can right click on this button. Okay, there are a lot of events. Okay, but particularly what we want that whenever the click event happens, then only we want to do something. Okay, so this add event listener first of all takes first parameter as what event should we target. Okay, so the event should be click. Okay, and after that, after the comma, it takes that what exactly should happen when this event takes place. Okay, so basically what we are saying here, we are passing a function that this function should be called. Okay, whenever this click happens. Okay, whenever this click event happens on this particular element, okay, whose ID is btn, this function should be called. And what we are doing inside the function, whenever the function will be called, this alert will be popped up. Okay, this alert will be popped up. So hence whenever I click on this alert is popped up saying that button clicked. Okay, as simple as that. Any doubt? Okay, great. So let's cover up tomorrow rest of the things. Okay, so you all can practice this DOM. Okay, try to target other elements, okay, by creating them, okay. And it's a better practice to create separate JavaScript files for each HTML, because as you see here, we have told JavaScript that this is the particular HTML file, okay. But if we use the same JavaScript function, okay, like in other HTML file, index2 or something stuff HTML, if we target the if we link the same script tag here also, it will have basically access to this page also, okay. For now there will be no problem, okay. But whenever it tries to access the document, okay, whose id is btn, nothing would be found here, okay, because we haven't created any sort of element whose id is btn, okay. So there will be some sort of errors, okay, in functioning, okay. And we will basically get an error here, like let me show you script src index.js, okay. So if we go to this particular page, let's rename it as index2. If we go to this particular page, index2.html, we will get an error here, okay, cannot read properties of null, okay, reading add event listener at index.js, okay. JavaScript will simply throw an error because it doesn't find this particular element with id button. So it's a better practice to create separate JavaScript files for each and every HTML page, okay. Now if you have some common functions which don't interfere, or which don't basically need this id, okay, of particular page, so you can use a common JavaScript file in that way, okay. Else it's recommended to use separate JavaScript files, okay. Any doubt for today? Yes or no? Okay, so I assume that everything is clear. Let's meet up tomorrow. Thank you for the day.